Nick Suzuki is absolutely sizzling through this part of the season. Cole Caufield scores again. We have a Slafkovsky goal, but Montreal ultimately couldn't come out with the win against Vegas. We're here to break that all down for you. Hello, bonjour, ahoy, and welcome to this game reaction edition of Habs Digest. I'm your host, Josh Gosse, alongside my co-host, Jesse Poirier. Before we get into it, very quick reminder, 85+% of you guys are still not subscribed to the channel. We have daily Montreal Canadiens content, so you won't want to miss what we have to say every single day. And if you want to get kept up to the date, there's no better place than here. All right, Jesse, well, let's get into this game. I mean, I saw a tweet after the game from Marco D'Amico, and he just basically said, well, this was good and this was bad, but this was good and this was bad, and that felt like just a really good way to put this game. A lot of ups and a lot of downs. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. It was kind of like a roller coaster ride, and we're getting into the game. Wheels are kind of falling off. We get back into it. So even though we had the loss, still like a very exciting, enjoyable game to watch tonight.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I had trouble. For those of you watching in Canada, I had no idea what channel this was on. I couldn't find it. It was broadcast on City TV tonight. Anyway, I don't know why, but it was. But yeah, getting into this game, we had some great things early. Like early in the game, I thought Montreal was really keeping up with Vegas. And I mean, Vegas coming into this game had won 6 in a row. They have been on fire. They've been playing fantastic. But Montreal was keeping pace with them. We were playing well. We were holding them to the outside on defense. Jake Allen made some nice saves, and we were having some nice chances the other way as well. But throughout most of this game, I think the theme was Montreal just seemed a little almost uncoordinated, and I don't know if that comes from the fact we're changing our lines so much, and the defensive pairings tonight were different again. I mean, Joel Edmondson had a really poor game by his standards tonight, a couple turnovers leading to goals. What do you think was the reason that Montreal couldn't string together more than a couple minutes of successful offensive pressure?
Well, I think the reason for that is just our lack of secondary scoring. I know we've seen some statistics coming out recently that are saying that coming into this game that Caufield and Suzuki have been responsible for 48% of our goals scored as a team so far, of our points. So while it's so great to have this first line, and honestly, like Chicago Blackhawks, they made such a big mistake of getting rid of Kirby Dach because this guy has tons of potential. He's playing great. Like even though we loved Alexander Romanov, our young defender that we had, to get a player that could then go onto our first line and play so great, I think is well worth it. So that's a really great positive just to take away from this game, just Kirby Dach being a great setup man. I love that first goal where he's coming into the offensive zone, he's deking through the zone, head up the whole time, and then just making a beautiful seam pass to Caufield, for that first goal. Of course, Caufield keeping up his terrific pace to start off the season. But just I feel that we're lacking that secondary scoring. And Josh, a big reason why I feel that is the way that we have our lines made up right now. I know that we're having kind of Dvorak, Anderson, Gallagher as kind of our second line, but I really think we need to switch that up. And that's why I'm so happy that Slafkovsky scored tonight, Slavzilla, because, hopefully this is, he's proving that maybe he can get moved up, because I would really like to see Monahan and Slafkovsky on a second line, help provide some secondary scoring, because I honestly feel like that was the difference tonight.
I completely agree with you, and there's nothing better than seeing that Slafkovsky goal tonight, another one-timer, but coming from none other than Caden Gooley, just showing that there's so much potential coming up tonight, and Slafkovsky proved himself again today. He didn't have maybe his best game, but it wasn't a bad game by any means. He was really using his body, really getting it. He blocked a shot on the penalty kill at one point. I was afraid he was injured. He caught it right in the side of the knee, but he was right back out there and ended up scoring a goal. But I agree. Some of these players on offense, like we've heard rumors for days now that Kent Hughes is calling around the league looking for some team to take a trade on one of these aging guys. Just, Montreal probably retain half their salary and ship them off. Because right now, like, guys like Jonathan Drouin, guys like Mike Hoffman, and while he was playing, Evgeny Dadonov, are just not cutting it for Montreal. They don't really fit in with our timeline, number one, and when they're on the ice, they really just aren't huge positives. And it's really a shame because, Mike Hoffman objectively has, or at least had, one of the stronger shots in the league. He was a goal-scoring machine just a few years ago. Jonathan Drouin has always had that that great, attitude towards hockey, and just his vision for the game is another level. But right now, we're just not seeing that. So I think we need to shuffle up these lines. I think we need to get the young guys up higher, like you said, see Slafkovsky higher. But let's transition away from these negatives, talking about why Montreal didn't win this game. Let's get into the awesome positives tonight. Nick Suzuki is on fire. We play the fire graphic on the screen. He has scored in 3 straight games or something like that. He's just, every game he's our best player. I put a poll out in the community tab on the channel today asking you guys who you thought has been Montreal's best player so far this season, and the overwhelming majority of you said Nick Suzuki, and I completely agree. This man is not only doing it all in the penalty kill, in the defensive zone, he is scoring almost every night, on pace for over 90 points. He is phenomenal. He's a killer on the power play now that is somehow working again. And that 3-on-1 with Dach, just perfectly placed shots. Suzuki's shot accuracy seems to have gone through the roof this year. He has been incredible. Caufield scores again, and Slafkovsky scores. Even though we lost Jesse, you gotta feel great seeing that our young guys continue to get better every single night.
That's so true, and I love seeing scoring on the power play. And I loved how we scored that, because we've seen that a couple times. Whenever we watch Habs games, you'll see on the power play where they like to kind of have Suzuki, where it's like he'll come out of the frame for a second. He does this delayed entry into the offensive zone to come in with speed into the zone. Then he either has an option for a pass to Caufield, obviously, which is his first look, or to take the shot, which he did tonight, So I'm happy to see that, we're starting looks that we tried previously, maybe not working all the time, are starting to come around. What a great choice that we made as captain in Nick Suzuki. I know some people had some questions. Is he too young? He's shown that he's completely ready. He's stepped up to the plate 110%. Robin to his Batman in Caufield, looking real greasy with the stash tonight. I absolutely like it. And he's been playing a lot better defensively, which I really liked. He's using his stick. He's getting in the way. He's positioning himself. He's showing a lot of heart for being a smaller guy, getting in the way. So we're really seeing his transitioning to a complete hockey player. And speaking of complete hockey players, Nick Suzuki is reminding me so much of Patrice Bergeron right now, because he's just the complete 200-foot hockey player package right now. So, we have so many positives. We have so much amazing things to build off of. I feel like right now we're kind of like a team kind of based off of one line. I don't know, Josh, I'm going to give a blast from the past, but it almost reminds me of like the Senators from many years back when they made their last Cup Finals run. But they had this line of Alfredson, of Heatley, and Spezza, and that was pretty much their whole team at that point, and just carrying the offense. And I feel like we have something similar. While it's not great that one line is kind of doing so much of your offense, it is very nice that we have an amazing first line. And we do see some examples from the past where even if you just have that one really great offensive line, that can take you places. So I'm just looking to make some moves to really secure those second, third lines, from there. You know how I feel about that already. And I think that'll be the remedy we need.
Yeah, there are a lot of parallels between our line, that Alfredson Spezza 50 and 07 Heatley line, the famous 2007 Stanley Cup Finals team. Man, I completely agree. Our top line, it's awesome that it's performing well, and it's only going to get better. Every single night, they've been doing better and better and better. Tonight was their best. It just felt like the offense was flowing through them. Whenever they were on the ice, Montreal had a chance to score no matter what. But top lines can take you far, but you can't do it alone. I think some of our depth guys are great. I think having Armia, tonight we saw Armia play with Evans and Slafkovsky, and man, I thought that line was good. I love Jake Evans always. I love Yoel Armia. I love Juraj Slafkovsky, but it's that middle six that gets a little questionable. Dvorak is always solid, not always scoring goals, not always amazing, but he doesn't make mistakes. Gallagher has just not been himself so far this year. He's trying to put pucks on the net, but he's fanning on shots he never used to before. Anderson, well, we might get into him in a minute or two about his hit later in the game. But yeah, this middle six needs a shakeup. We need some kind of new talent brought in and just see what they can do. If not Slafkovsky, maybe someone else from another team, like a younger guy that we can just test out, because something needs to change. It's not working right now, and we need to find that solution. I have full faith in Martin St. Louis that he will find that solution, no matter who or when it is. But yeah, I thought overall Montreal didn't play awful throughout most of it. I mean, we had some periods where we were just really pressuring, but a common theme, I mentioned this in the last game recap when you weren't here, Jesse, what keeps happening to Montreal is after big moments, big pushes, we shoot ourselves in the foot and we get a penalty or something. Like, we scored our first goal tonight, and right after Arbor Xhekaj gets an ill-advised cross-check penalty. Should it have been a cross-check? Maybe. He did cross-check him, but it was a little weak by most penalty standards. But he got a penalty. We didn't pay for it. But then right after our second goal on that 3-on-1, in the third period, Jordan Harris immediately gets a hold. I don't think it was a hold, but still, he wasn't disciplined. He was wrapping his arm around, and the ref saw that and called it. You got to be careful, because we keep getting penalties right after scoring or right after a big push, and it was after that Jordan Harris penalty. They scored on the ensuing power play, and then they scored 2 more quick goals right after, one scored by Keegan Colasar on a greasy, dirty tip, and one scored assisted by Colasar to Nicolas Waugh. It just feels like Montreal has the talent to play well, but they only play well in stretches. And sometimes when we play well, right after we get exhausted, we lack discipline and we make a mistake. At one point in the second period, Jesse, the shots were 15-0 for Vegas. It didn't end quite that bad, but it was 15-0 about 12 minutes into the second period. Montreal continues to have great stretches where they keep up with some of the best teams in the league, and then they collapse for about 10 or 15 minutes at a time. I don't know if it's the forwards or the defense. What were your thoughts on our defense tonight? Because I think that played a big role as to why we couldn't stave off this Vegas pressure. Because our defensemen really couldn't get it out of our own zone tonight, it felt like.
Yeah, no, that's it. It's to be expected from a young defensive core like we do. So yeah, a couple, they were forechecking pretty hard, Vegas. Definitely there. So I think it's just, some people are working on their off positions right now, and I know some people are still kind of coming back from injury. Edmondson, like you mentioned, didn't have his greatest game tonight, still kind of getting in the flow of it. While he did have some bright spots, getting physical as we can expect from him. So yeah, showing a little bit of the inexperience, but I mean, kind of par for the course, to be expected, at this point in the season.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's about it for the performance. Before we close off this video, I did want to touch a little bit on that Josh Anderson hit. For those of you that maybe didn't catch the game, I'm sure it's in the highlight package, but, this was just after Montreal had gone down 5-2. There was clearly a lot of frustration in the team. We couldn't get much going. Josh Anderson, as always, is very physical. He laid some big hits tonight, but he was going towards the Vegas bench. Alex Pietrangelo turned his back to play the puck right next to the bench, and Anderson ran him from behind, straight on the numbers. And if you look at the replay, Pietrangelo's head came right over almost the top of the bench. Looked like it could have been very bad. His neck could have easily been hurt. Luckily, Pietrangelo was okay. But even as a Habs fan, I'm sure there's a lot of people saying, oh, well, it wasn't that bad. He turned at the last minute. In my opinion, I think that hit was filthy. He got 5 in a game for a reason. I think he did have time to at least let up a little bit, but it looked like he really followed through and put Pietrangelo right into the boards. And, as Habs fans, we want to defend our guys. But to me, I think we got to also remain impartial. I think we got to call out that kind of crap when we see it. I don't think that was a good hit. I think the league will look at it for a suspension. I want to know your thoughts real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Anderson's a dirty player, no. But you're totally right. I think he did have some time to kind of maybe let up on that a little bit. So it's definitely the type of hits that we want to get rid of in the game for sure. But, that being said, is Anderson played with a lot of energy tonight, maybe, not getting on the scoreboard as much as he would like. But, he was skating around the ice. He was making hits, and making those hits is what kind of changed the momentum in the game to kind of get us back into it at certain points. So while I did appreciate his energy coming to make hits, that last one at the end, yeah, absolutely, he shouldn't have done that. Again, I don't believe that he's trying to injure or anything like that. I just think he's getting a little bit carried away in the moment, but definitely one that I'm sure he'd like to take back.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Again, I completely agree. I don't think he's a dirty player. I think that play was bad, poor decision, and I'm sure Josh Anderson would agree with you. I think he got a little carried away. The momentum was going all Vegas's way, and one ill-advised play, and I'm sure he'll serve the consequences if they come to him. But I think that'll do it for this game reaction version of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Our subscribers have been going through the roof. You guys have been absolutely amazing. We're loving the support, loving the views, and we're going to continue doing this as long as we can. We love bringing this content to you guys. I'm your host, Josh Gosse, for Jesse Poirier. We'll see you in the next video.